Happy Wednesday. It's hump day. Gorgeous outside where I'm at. A lot of appreciation for that. This morning I wanted to talk about food and diet. This is a piece of the puzzle, obviously, for well being, living life. So we're kind of putting together a puzzle um, of a bunch of different things. And today it's about food and diet. And it just kind of hit me this morning. I'm only going to, per usual, I'm only going to talk about what works for me. And it begins and ends right there. Sounds crazy, but again, it just kind of dawned on me. I call it the power diet. The reason I call it that, I know, har, 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 har. But the reason I call it that is because I wasn't able to figure out the right diet until I gave myself the power to do so. Power diet. Booyah. All right, so anyway, let me explain it a little bit. For me, I had to uncomplicate my life, attune to my body, listen to it, and then it told me what to consume. You go in the grocery store, hey, I want a piece of cantaloupe. Get the cantaloupe. Now, you don't want to abuse it and go in the middle aisles and get all up in the, in the candy bars and all that. God knows I have a sweet tooth, but it's like, it's the quiet voice for me of, okay, do this. And then I start to develop trust when I start to see it work. So when I see all of these things, all the fads, all the ideologies, two things come to mind when I listen to other people beating the drum of what I should be doing. One, they're so self-consumed that since something worked for me and good times for you, or love it, you assume that my body is the exact same representation of DNA and blood type and all these things that your body is. Well, let's be honest. We all know that's not true. Or two, you're trying to sell me something, and I can't be buying all that. So based off those two concepts, pushing into this, slow down, relax your body, take a breath, listen to what your body needs. I know people that have been doing that for a while, and I look at them like, damn, that works. And it's a subtle thing. One quick example of a subtlety of it. At one point, I woke up, I wasn't feeling well, went into the kitchen, wasn't feeling well enough to where I didn't want to have coffee, which, hey, I had some tea or something was, I think I was having some tea, and my aunt was like, I was putting honey in there, and we were talking about honey. I'm trying to get this story right, but I had some honey from Maine that I had from last summer, and she was like, no, use this honey. And it was Florida honey, local, where we're at right now. Orange blossom honey. So she went on to explain anything that you got going on right now in this environment locally, use local honey. So that's the idea where localvore and, eat close to home and all those things come into play. So that's an example of where I've had help along the way through example that makes sense to me. Anyway, my power diet is, again, giving power back to me and what my body wants, not some other ideology or opinion of what somebody else thinks I should be doing. A big example here would be Let me pick on the vegan cult for a minute. And right away, when I saw that, because I've dabbled in many different diets and things like that, I was like, oh, you're not supposed to eat honey? Well, honey's medicinal for me. So therefore, there's no logic in that. And it's no different than a religion. You can eat this, you can't eat that. You can pray to this God, you can't pray to that God. Don't do this, but you can do this. To me, that's about power and control. I find it belittling. Um, and the idea, Ted Nugent said it best, Uncle Ted. Um, Again, picking on the vegan thing as an example. Um, if you get on this moral high ground of, well, you shouldn't eat meat because that animal is alive, and when they get butchered, you're consuming that and you're a hypocrite. Well, let's get it together and just discuss that we're all hypocrites. So when you make space for the field of all the soybeans and the vegetables that a vegetarian or a vegan is consuming, which knock yourself out if that makes your body feel good. Again, but the amount of insects and birds and rodents that you're killing or at least displacing, and then kind of piggybacking on this idea that, well, you're the only one killing that animal, the cow or the pig or whatever. And I'm telling you that that animal's life is more valuable than a plant's life. I don't get behind that personally. Through my own experiences, I feel it's a level playing field. Yes, the evolutionary chain will dictate a lot of how things happen in life. but yeah, so I can't get behind that, for example. And aside from the moral and ethical and the hypocritical stuff and all that, again, it comes back to what your body wants. So the power diet is where I just consume what works for me. Yes, there's celebratory moments, of course, with my sweet tooth, and I have one. Poker night or whatever's happening where you get a little bit liquored up, get your cookies in, do all the stuff. But there's a fine line. So I find my own balance instead of the FDA or Big Pharma telling me what a balance is. So that's where I sit with it. And when it's time to intermittent fast, just like an animal would naturally, because you're naturally attuned to what your body's makeup is. Everybody's body is different, of course, as we know, just like your fingerprint or your soul scent, soul prints, snowflakes, whatever you want to do. So, yes, do what's right for you and your body. If you're not aware, then you're going to be susceptible to listening to the latest and greatest doctrine and, sort of fit in a justification route of, well, I'm going to go Mediterranean because I got to slip that pasta in. They told me it was okay, so it's okay. If your body doesn't agree with that gluten, for example, that's more important to pay attention to than what somebody told you fits in the box of this diet or this fad. Because again, they're either trying to sell you something or they're so self-consumed that they think, and maybe well-intended, that your body is exactly like theirs. And those are the two things I really fall back on as my reasoning to why I don't follow any agenda like that. I just consume what I consume, and it's just a piece of my life. I want the balance, what's right for me, so I can live and I can feel and I can operate effectively instead of waking up in the morning all inflamed, because that's just unfun to me, and I can't do the things I want. Yes, there's a back and forth, there's a balance of things. Um, a friend and I were talking about a lot of this yesterday. We have the same nutritionist, not that I go to her anymore, but had a great baseline of supplements to remove a lot of toxins out of my body after years of just damage. So take accountability, be aware. My uncle used to say, do you live to eat, or do you eat to live? You know, what are you giving up in your life to get that 10 seconds of gratification of that brownie? So these are sort of the questions. As with anything else, we're going to be accountable to what we consume at the end of the day, regardless if we're aware or ignorant. So, and I was kind of thinking about this thing the other day because it made sense to me, but somebody was saying, if you want to energetically raise your vibration, eat live foods. Well, that makes sense to me. You know, if we're talking about veg and fruits and nuts and these different things, herbs and spices, and I've done that. And I felt worse. Brain cognition was a little bit foggy, inflammation, a lot of carbs, a lot of fiber, typical Western diet that they'll push as healthy, which some people it works. But for me, it didn't work. And if we look at animals as dead food, so we're more like stuck in the sludge and we can't energetically raise our vibe, through experience, I can tell you that that is not the case for me personally. It's not because it's a justification because I love the taste of a good steak. I love a good salad. It's whatever's working for me to get me attuned to myself, my surroundings, and to live life as best I can, or as aware as I can. And so reduce stress. A lot of us know this. Reduce and eliminate stress. That'll take care a lot of the ailments of what the brownie will do to you, by the way. But when you're stressed out, stress eating, body dysmorphia, all of these things, we've given away our power. So you can't be on no power diet if you do that. Anyway, I know it's cheese ball, the way I talk about it with the name of it, but yeah, it's my own little power diet. And it's really cool because the power lies in, I don't need to, unless I'm looking for information specifically about something or other. That's great. I'm no doctor, I'm no nutritionist, I don't know anything about that. But what I know is this. And that's the power. And it eliminates so much bullshit from me being drug around with these different ideas. One example here. My mom grew up vegetarian, very plant-based. Yeah, she messed around, of course, in her life and abused her body here and there, like anybody, generally. But now she's in her 70s, and she's developed so many oxalates in her body through fiber, carbohydrates, that she came down, developed diverticulitis, which is a debilitating, I don't know if it's a disease or ailment, whatever it is. So out of desperation, she had to change. No doctor told her about this. She had to research on her own. She went on the Lion's diet. Food. Meat, salt, water changed her life. Is it fair for her now to take what worked for her and say, hey, everybody else needs to do this, and hey, Minky, eat your bacon and do all? No, absolutely not. Bubbles. Yeah, you got to enforce your boundaries on these people that are telling you what diet you need to do. Carnivore worked great for me for a month. That's my baseline to this day, 60, 70% animal fats and protein to operate so I can think clearly, or as clear as I do. And so this is the idea. Become aware and take accountability of your food game and listen to your body, then you'll know. Sounds awfully familiar to your life in general. Well, food is a part of it. Yes, have your celebratory moments. I'm going to have a video about blue zones and why I love blue zones. I don't want to get into that right now. But part of what happens in the blue zones is these communities, they're blue zones because they live to be very old and they're very vibrant right to their last breath for a number of reasons: community, socialization, solidarity, good food, etc. So good faith, spirituality, religious, whatever it is, all those pillars come together. And there's celebratory moments in these blue zones where, yeah, you eat the piece of chocolate cake on a birthday or whatever it is. Life is that. It's a celebration, but not to the detriment where it takes you out of the game, you know. So that's where I'm at with my food. There's adjustments along the way as my body changes, but the baseline is awareness. Listen to your body. When it's time to do certain things, you'll know when to do it. Not because somebody else told you that paleo is the right way, carnivore is the right way, veganism is the right way, pescatarian, seafood. I love seafood. You'll just know. That's it. That is it. Later.